Dr. Volcara prided themselves on maintaining a pristine, logic-driven medical facility. The Galactic Apex Veterinary Center, the most advanced xenobiology hospital in the known universe, had handled everything from solar worm infestations to the stubborn respiratory infections of 10-dimensional jellyfish. Their motto, "If it lives, we can heal it." That motto was about to be tested. Violently. It started as a routine cycle. The AI, Z4NX, was running its scheduled diagnostic checks when a new arrival docked. The ship was flagged immediately. Human origin. That alone was cause for concern. Humans, despite their annoying resilience, rarely visited the hospital. They had an unsettling habit of surviving near-death experiences with little more than a grimace and an inappropriate joke. Dr. Volcara floated toward the docking bay, their gaseous forms swirling under their lab coat. Z4NX, what do we... No, the AI beeped. Incoming patient is contained in a medical stasis pod. Human pilot, Dr. Sam Carter, credentials verified, patient biosignatures, processing. There was a pause. Then every emergency alarm in the facility activated. At once, the sleek, sterile hallways bathed in a flashing red glow. A robotic voice boomed over the intercom. Extinction-level threat detected. Lockdown in progress. Evacuate all non-essential personnel. Dr. Volcara's form nearly evaporated from shock. What? New emergency protocols activated. Z4NX stated flatly. Human has brought an apex predator. There was a loud, clanking sound as every blast door in the vicinity slammed shut. Meanwhile, at the center of the chaos, Dr. Sam Carter stood with his arms crossed, staring at the locked entrance to the hospital. His stasis pod hummed softly beside him, containing what appeared to be a very large, very orange, very unconscious Earth tiger. With an exasperated sigh, he knocked on the reinforced glass. "Hey! What the hell's going on in there?" Inside, Volcara was already drafting their resignation letter. Deep in the command center, the medical board of directors had convened an emergency meeting. The holographic projections of various species flickered across the room, gelatinous blobs, insectoid beings, and towering avians all chattered in frantic tones. "We must eject it into deep space immediately." Agreed. There is no precedent for treating such an entity. We are doctors, not exterminators. We must consider protocol. A video feed played. The creature, lying unconscious in the stasis pod, stretched in its sleep, its mouth opened wide in a lazy yawn, revealing fangs the size of surgical scalpels. Its claws, even retracted, could probably peel the plating off a starship hull. Someone screamed. A floating nurse, Dr. Zeno, an eyeball encased in a levitating exosuit, convulsed in pure horror. "This thing is real?" a reptilian specialist croaked. "I thought Earth was a myth." "This is reckless even for a human," the board leader muttered. "We must..." A new video clip played. Dr. Sam Carter, appearing irritated, casually unlocked the blast doors. The committee froze. "No," whispered Dr. Volcara. "No, no, no, no!" Carter strolled in like he owned the place, whistling as he dragged the stasis pod behind him. The security team fainted. Z4NX updated its emergency files at an alarming rate. "Humans have lost all fear of death." Dr. Carter scowled as the staff scattered in terror. "What is wrong with you people?" Dr. Volcara was gripping the nearest surface like it would save them. You just brought it in here." "She," Carter corrected. "Her name's Luna, and yes, that is how hospitals work." Z4NX pinged in distress. "Clarification, this facility does not treat beings classified as active planetary threats." Carter threw his arms up. "For the love of, she's just scared, not dangerous." The AI flagged this statement as an immediate lie. Volcara pointed an unsteady limb at the pod. That thing has a bite force that could snap reinforced durasteel. Carter blinked. Yeah, it has muscle density that should not be biologically possible. Carter shrugged. That's just how cats work. A distant nurse audibly whimpered. Carter cracked the stasis lock. The board of directors collectively screamed. The lid hissed open. For a moment nothing happened. Then the tiger Luna let out a deep, sleepy groan and stretched. The motion was slow, almost lazy, but the effect was devastating. The sheer force of her yawn shattered several glass containers. A junior doctor quit on the spot. Dr. Zeno started emitting a high-pitched, continuous shriek. Z4NX simply shut itself down. Luna, oblivious to the sheer panic she had caused, blinked her sleepy amber eyes. Then, to the horror of every living creature present, she rolled over onto her back and let out a deep, resonant purr. The entire building shook. Dr. Volcara felt their mind collapsing. What is happening? Carter, kneeling beside Luna, scratched behind her ears. See? Just a big kitty. The AI rebooted itself solely to update its data logs. Humans are evolutionary anomalies. New classification required. Chaotic apex symbiotic life form. A specialist, cowering behind 3 layers of shields, tried to scan the tiger. The results triggered a galactic security alert. Dr. Carter rolled his eyes. You people are unbelievable. Luna, now fully awake, flicked her tail and sneezed. The resulting force sent several chairs flying. The facility's mainframe crashed. Carter sighed, rubbing his forehead. You really need to calm down. Dr. Volcara promptly lost consciousness. Dr. Sam Carter had expected some pushback. After all, the Galactic Apex Veterinary Center was a high-end medical facility, catering to species far beyond Earth's zoological understanding. What he hadn't expected was the sheer, unrelenting meltdown of an entire hospital full of professionals who, by all accounts, should have been the best in their fields. Instead, they were currently hiding behind emergency barriers, debating whether or not to launch his patient into the void. Carter pinched the bridge of his nose as Luna, his very much not a threat tiger, lazily swished her tail across the surgical bay floor, yawning again. The mere act of her breathing sent tremors through the facility's stress monitors, which now displayed what Carter assumed were full existential breakdowns in various alien languages. Somewhere in the corner, a floating nurse rotated in slow, anxious circles, making distressed clicking sounds. All right, Carter said, clapping his hands together. Since no one else here seems to have a grip on reality, I'm just going to start treating her myself. Dr. Volcara, having regained consciousness only to immediately regret it, wheezed. Absolutely not. Carter had already pulled a medkit from his bag. We are not equipped to handle something of that caliber, Volcara continued, voice ragged. That thing... She has a name, Luna, Carter corrected. Luna is a biological impossibility. Her bite force alone... Yeah, Carter said, waving a hand. Starship hull, molecular density, blah, blah, blah. You guys keep talking about this like I haven't treated her before. Look, she's got a wound on her hind leg that's getting infected, and I don't have all the fancy tools your hospital does, so let me do my job. Volcara shuddered at the casual way Carter dismissed the concerns of the entire intergalactic medical board. The human's ability to remain so utterly unfazed in the presence of a walking extinction event was beyond unnerving. Behind Volcara, the facility's AI, Z4NX, beeped a warning. Current situation remains at threat level Omega. Precautionary. Measures must be upheld. Patient must be contained. She's fine, Carter groaned. Look at her, she's purring. Do any of your extinction-level threats purr? The AI hesitated. Data insufficient. Exactly, Carter said. Now, I need someone to hand me some antiseptic before I have to start guessing what's safe to use. A long silence followed. No one moved. Luna, oblivious to the bureaucratic disaster unfolding around her, flopped onto her side with a contented sigh. The sheer weight of her body hitting the surgical bay floor sent a minor vibration through the entire station. One of the alien doctors whimpered and pressed themselves flatter against the wall. Carter exhaled sharply, rolling his shoulders. "Fine, I'll do it myself." Volcara's gaseous form flared erratically, caught between professional responsibility and pure terror. You cannot just administer treatment without proper..." But Carter was already moving. He popped open the med kit, rifling through the contents like he was looking for a lost pen, rather than life-saving medical supplies for an animal that could, theoretically, dismantle the facility with a single irritated swat. "Okay. Antibiotics. First," he muttered, half to himself, half to the tiger that was currently stretching like an oversized house cat. "Then some dermal regeneration for the gash, and, oh, you're gonna love this part, girl. It's got numbing agents built in." Luna flicked an ear, completely unbothered. The hospital staff, however, were very much not unbothered. A reptilian technician, still cowering behind a bio-containment shield, muttered in horror, "He's touching it. With his bare hands." "Doctor." A dry no. The floating eyeball nurse began vibrating at a frequency that suggested a full nervous breakdown. Carter ignored them all. He knelt beside Luna, gently lifting her wounded leg to examine the injury. It wasn't too deep, thankfully, but it definitely needed cleaning. He hummed to himself as he worked, applying the antiseptic with steady hands. Z4NX, the AI, observed the process in what could only be described as escalating disbelief. It beeped uncertainly. Human approach to apex predator care suggests either evolutionary immunity to fear or a severe cognitive defect, Carter snorted. Yeah, humans are nuts, I get it. Keep the analysis to yourself, would you? Dr. Volcara, still hovering a safe distance away, finally found the strength to speak. If we do assist in this procedure, you must follow our protocols." Carter quirked a brow. "Oh, now you want to help?" "We wish to minimize casualties." Carter gave them a dry look. "You're acting like she's actively planning a massacre." "She could," Volcara snapped. Luna, unaware that she was the subject of galactic debate, let out a deep, contented chuff and licked Carter's arm with a tongue that could probably strip paint off a battleship. The entire medical team screamed. Volcara had reached their absolute limit. "Why did it lick you?" Carter blinked. Because she likes me." Z4NX logged this interaction under inexplicable human survival tactics. XY No, still spiraling into existential horror, moaned, "This isn't medical science. This is pure madness." Despite the overwhelming panic of literally everyone else in the room, Carter continued working with methodical efficiency. Within minutes, the wound was cleaned, sealed, and dressed. He leaned back, wiping his hands on his pants. There, good as new. Luna, apparently pleased with this, nuzzled her massive head into his chest. Dr. Volcara screamed again. "Why is it showing affection?" Carter, patting Luna's enormous head, gave them a puzzled look. "Have you seriously never seen a cat before? Not one that could erase civilizations," Volcara shouted. Carter rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, she wouldn't do that. The facility AI updated its security files. Human capacity for delusion appears infinite." Z4NX then sent out a quiet, desperate ping to the Galactic Council's emergency psychological response team. They were going to need it. Luna, fully healed and no longer in pain, let out one last powerful purr before curling into a massive, terrifyingly adorable ball of fluff. Carter stretched. "Well, that was easy." Volcara and the rest of the team stared at him in utter, shattered silence. Z4NX updated its primary directive. "New hospital policy. Humans shall never be allowed to bring pets again." Dr. Volcara had given up. Completely. Utterly. Their gaseous form hung limp in their floating lab coat as they watched the human, this reckless, irrational, chaos-brained human, pat the gigantic murder machine on the head like it was some kind of oversized household pet. The fact that the tiger, Luna, as the human insisted on calling it, was actively purring only made things worse. Around them, the rest of the medical team remained frozen in horrified silence. The floating nurse, Dr. Zeno, was vibrating with barely suppressed trauma. A reptilian technician had gone catatonic. The AI, Z4NX, was still updating its Galactic warning database at an alarming rate. Somewhere, the facility's insurance adjuster had probably suffered a spontaneous aneurysm. Dr. Sam Carter, meanwhile, stretched his arms overhead like he had just finished some light paperwork. "Well," he said cheerfully, "that's one happy tiger." Volcara made a sound that was somewhere between a wheeze and a dying radio signal. Carter squinted at them. "You okay there, Doc?" "Okay." Volcara's gaseous form crackled dangerously. You just bonded with an apex predator, like it was some sort of harmless, big kitty?" Carter offered. Let out a distressed, electronic whine. "Stop calling it that," Volcara snapped. "Do you have any idea what we have been through? The emergency alerts, the hospital lockdown, the existential dread?" Carter shrugged. "Seems like an overreaction." The surgical bay lights flickered ominously. Volcara wanted to collapse into a puddle of pure exhaustion. Unfortunately, they did not have a skeleton to collapse into, so they settled for slumping, dramatically in midair. "You are impossible." The floating nurse, still spinning in anxious circles, piped up weakly. What? What happens now?" Carter sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Well, I was hoping I'd be able to discharge her soon, but judging by the way you're all acting, I'm guessing there's some bureaucratic nonsense I have to deal with first." The hospital AI beeped in affirmation. "New emergency protocols require a formal review of this situation. The Galactic Apex Veterinary Center's Board of Directors must assess the incident before determining whether this facility may ever treat Earth species again." Carter groaned. "Great! More paperwork." Volcara stared at him like he had just grown a second head. "That is your primary concern? Paperwork?" Carter gave them an exasperated look. "You guys are acting like I unleashed a plague in your hospital. I brought in a patient for medical treatment. You know that thing hospitals are supposed to do?" Zeno twitched. "Not for apocalyptic megafauna." Carter folded his arms. "Oh, come on. She's not that bad." Z4NX displayed a security recording on the nearest screen. The footage showed Luna casually flicking her tail, the motion alone knocking over a reinforced medical scanner like it was a toy. A moment later, the recording played another clip. This time, Luna let out an innocent sneeze, and an entire row of diagnostic equipment exploded in the background. The final clip was of the moment she had licked Carter's arm. Every member of the medical team had screamed in unison. The audio replayed it in deafening clarity. Carter frowned. "That was like a friendly thing," Zeno spiraled. "It was an execution attempt." Carter groaned. "For the last time, she is not trying to kill me." The AI updated its log. "Human continues to deny the obvious." Volcara's gaseous form crackled again. "Do you even hear yourself? You are actively arguing that this creature, this monstrosity, is a harmless pet." Carter threw his hands up. "She is. Sure, she could technically rip me in half if she wanted to, but so could an angry house cat. It's not like she actually wants to hurt anybody." There was a long, stunned silence. Zeno whispered in pure dread. "Technically," Volcara made a choked, strangled noise. "You are genuinely telling me that you regularly live alongside creatures that could murder you on a whim, and that this is normal for humans?" Carter blinked. "Yeah." The entire medical team experienced a simultaneous crisis. Z4NX immediately flagged this statement for urgent review by the Galactic Council's Emergency Psychological Investigation Bureau. Alcara was gripping their own lab coat like it would somehow bring them comfort. "You are all like this." Carter considered this. "Well, not all humans keep big cats as pets, if that's what you mean. But yeah, people keep dogs, wolves, falcons, snakes, even bears sometimes. It's pretty normal." Zyno let out a faint, panicked beep. Velcara stopped breathing, mostly because they didn't need to, but also because their body had temporarily lost the ability to function. Carter continued obliviously. "Oh, and don't even get me started on people who keep ocean predators for fun. You ever hear of an orca? They're like the ocean's version of a Black Ops hit squad. Super smart, super deadly, but we put 'em in tanks and teach 'em tricks." Zeno began flashing distress colors. Velcara's mind was shattering into a million unrecognizable pieces. Your entire species, chooses to coexist with walking catastrophic-level threats? Carter shrugged. "Yeah, what's your point?" Zeno, shut down from stress.z4nx, quietly updated its final report. Conclusion: the human species exhibits terminal recklessness and must be observed with extreme caution. Their survival instincts appear to have been permanently disabled at an evolutionary level. Further research is mandatory. Meanwhile, Carter knelt beside Luna, giving her an affectionate pat. "Well, I guess if you guys are gonna take forever sorting this out, I might as well get comfortable." Velcara, on the verge of a complete nervous breakdown, took a slow, deep inhale of their own gaseous form. "This will not end well." Luna, as if on cue, rolled over and let out another sleepy purr. The facility's main power grid nearly short-circuited. Velcara gripped their head. "Why is this happening?" Carter, completely unbothered, grinned. "Welcome to veterinary medicine." Dr. Velcara regretted every life decision that had led them to this moment. They regretted graduating top of their class in xenomedical studies. They regretted accepting a prestigious position at the Galactic Apex Veterinary Center. Most of all, they regretted being present at the exact moment a human had arrived, carrying what could only be described as an extinction-class organism wrapped in delusional optimism. And now, instead of taking the obvious course of action, ejecting the entire situation into the nearest black hole, the facility's bureaucratic overlords had decided that a formal hearing was required. For legal reasons, Velcara had no idea how legal protocol worked in relation to cosmic death beasts, but they were fairly certain this was the most asinine decision in intergalactic medical history. The conference chamber was packed, holographic. Representatives from multiple galactic species flickered around the perimeter. The board of directors sat rigidly in their floating seats. Members of the station's security force stood at the ready, their weapons, purely symbolic as none of them wanted to test if they worked, pointed toward the massive, slumbering tiger stretched out in the middle of the room. Dr. Sam Carter sat beside her, casually sipping a coffee. Velcara had given up attempting to explain the concept of emergency crisis response to him. At the center of the chamber, the lead chair being, a multi-limbed avian called Chancellor Kirit, tapped their claws against the desk. "This meeting is hereby in session. The matter before us concerns..." They hesitated. "The incident that took place earlier today." Z4NX, the facility's AI, projected a list of categorized emergency reports. The scrolling data stretched from the ceiling to the floor. Kirit murmured. "This appears to be a great deal of paperwork." Velcara almost combusted on the spot. "That's because this was a disaster." Carter gave them an annoyed look. "It was a checkup. The facility had to be evacuated," the Chancellor said mildly. "She needed medical care," Carter countered. "You unleashed a planetary-class predator into our hospital." Volcara shrieked. Carter sipped his coffee. She purred. The conference chamber broke into muffled whispers. Some of the delegates exchanged uneasy glances, as if the word itself carried some kind of malevolent force. The facility's emergency psychologist, a gelatinous entity named Dr. Fluzor, twitched. "Let's review the footage," the Chancellor suggested. Z4NX obediently played the security recording. First, there was the initial medical bay lockdown, alarms blaring, panic erupting. Then, there was the first major collapse of protocol, the moment. Dr. Carter simply opened the containment unit like it was a lunchbox. The following sequence of events, as documented, included the staff losing their collective minds, the AI refusing to scan the tiger out of sheer existential dread, the human confidently applying first aid to a being classified as a level omega, biohazard while whistling, the tiger licking the human, the synchronized screaming of every sentient being in the room, the facility's seismic tremor detection system registering purring as a Category 2 geological event, the AI suffering a full system failure from stress. When the video ended, silence filled the chamber. The Chancellor's feathers twitched slightly. "That was informative," Volcara inhaled sharply. "You see what we are dealing with?" The Chancellor studied. "Carter. Doctor, do you have any defense for your actions?" Carter set his coffee down. "Yeah, I was just doing my job." "Your job is to endanger entire medical institutions?" Volcara spat. "No," Carter said, voice calm. "My job is to help animals that need medical attention. And the only thing endangering anyone was your absurd overreaction." A scandalized murmur rippled through the room. Carter leaned forward, pointing a finger at the holographic board members. "You claim to be the best veterinary facility in the galaxy, but the moment I walked in with a creature you didn't understand, you lost your damn minds. Not because she was attacking, not because she was actually dangerous, but because you assumed she was." He crossed his arms. "If that's your standard of medical care, then I seriously question how you run this place." The room went still. Z4NX beeped hesitantly. "Analysis. Human appears to be making a valid point." The Chancellor tapped their talons. "An interesting argument." Volcara nearly lost their molecular cohesion. "You cannot seriously be considering—" "I have a counter-question," Carit interrupted. "Dr. Carter, do all humans interact with lethal apex predators this way?" Carter considered. "Not all humans, no. But a lot of us, yeah." A silence heavier than a collapsing star filled the chamber. Z4NX flashed a new data entry. "Humans. Evolutionary nightmare. Possible error in universal design." The Chancellor cleared their throat. "After much consideration, the Board of Directors has reached a conclusion." Volcara held their breath. "We will be updating our protocols for handling Earth species." Volcara exploded in disbelief. "What?" Carit raised a placating claw. "However, humans will not be permitted to bring them here unsupervised." Carter sighed. "Figures," the Chancellor regarded him. "Your reckless disregard for protocol is concerning. However, your medical expertise is undeniable." They turned to the rest of the board. "Effective immediately, we are forming a specialized division within the hospital for studying and treating Earth fauna." Volcara's entire form twitched. The Chancellor continued. "Dr. Carter, you will serve as the consulting expert for this division." Volcara exploded again. "What?" Carter blinked. "Wait. You're offering me a job?" "Yes." Carter glanced at Volcara, who was currently suffering a molecular aneurysm. He grinned. "Cool. When do I start?" Volcara fainted. Z4NX immediately updated its main directive. "New emergency priority. Prepare psychiatric care for all medical staff before first official shift of Earth Apex Veterinary Division." The Chancellor stood. Meeting adjourned. Luna, as if sensing the tension had broken, let out a massive sneeze. 3 delegates collapsed. Carter finished his coffee. Looking forward to working with you.